Hello.
I am Julie, and you are listening to the Julie and Kaz Show.
Mm-hmm. I have no rebuttal today.
So I'm Julie. I'm a health and nutrition coach. My company is Balanced Life with Julie.
I am Kaz. I am a registered massage therapist and energy healer, and I own Key Health and Wellness in Whitby.
That's K-I, as in key.
I know. I often forget people don't know what
Key.
Yes, life force energy within us is called.
Yes.
But it's called Key, K-I.
So today we're going to talk about healthy boundaries around social media. It's a juicy topic.
It is. I think it's a very necessary conversation to have. I have a soon-to-be 15-year-old daughter who's just really getting into social media, and she's always like, oh, I don't understand these people that follow me. And I'm like, who's following you? It kind of bothers me that she has thousands of followers and I have, 100. So in a way, I'm a little jealous. But the trouble is, I'm quite selective about who I kind of let into my personal
Social
space
world.
there on the social world. Whereas the younger generations, it's more about how many people can I get, because that seems to be the popularity. When I was in high school, more so in England, it was how many people could you have in your group of people that would follow you around? Your like posse. That was your followers.
Is that a British thing?
Yes, I think so.
You just literally had people walking around with you?
And you did. So as the more people you kind of had, the more popular you were, of course.
I was a straight up loser. I just had 2 or 3 friends.
Oh, me too. But I luckily flew under the radar. So I was good friends with all of the popular kids. So I could still roll in those crews, but I didn't hang with them all the time. Mainly because they were smokers and toughies, and I was the class clown and a bit of a geek. So, but that's fine. I actually love it. But now, kids, it's all about, how many more likes and the lengths that they seem to have to go to stand out to get those likes and to get that validation and followers.
Well, I think like therein lies the issue is that, when you're seeking validation from the outside world, whether it's, on social media or whether it's the people around you, it's kind of a dead end game. Like validation like happiness is an inside job. So you have to be willing to value who you are as an individual and stand in your own truth and show up like that everywhere. And then you attract who you attract, social media or in real life. But that's one of the things to be aware of. And also, social media, like, unless you know the person personally in real life, like anyone can put up anything. And
what? You're saying everything on social media is a lie?
Yeah.
No,
well, it's also,
come on.
I think it's also like we have to be a little bit pragmatic about it because it's everybody's highlight reel. And I know for myself personally, when I was going through a really hard time, it was painful to be on social media because it seemed like everybody was having a kick-ass time and my life was literally falling apart. So I think one of the boundaries that I personally have on social media is first of all, I don't spend a ton of time on it daily. I may post, but I don't scroll a lot. I these days, maybe I post every day to Instagram, but not necessarily. And then I always do a Wellness Wednesday video on Wednesdays on my Facebook page. But I don't spend hours and hours and hours scrolling, taking in what everyone around me is doing because I have a life. I have things to do. So I think having time limits for yourself is really important. Like if you're spending, several hours a day on social media and you're feeling like crap, then number one thing is to get off social.
It's kind of bizarre that we have these apps now that are designed to say, you've had more than so-and-so time on social media. Maybe it's time you get off. I know for me, similar to you, when I was struggling I had a condition called body dysmorphic disorder, which is not a very nice thing to go through at all. One of my major triggers was Instagram. And so recognizing when I go on that, it hurts me psychologically, which then trickles into everything else in my life. And so I had to remove myself from it. So really being able to acknowledge that within yourself. Like I'm on here. It's become an addiction now. I mean, people who do drugs, I don't think necessarily are like, oh, I can't wait for this thing to be jabbed in my arm. Like it's a craving, a need that you feel you have to do. And for that moment, it's euphoric, but then afterwards it's not.
Well, it does what a lot of other things does, which is it, especially if you're into getting the likes and the comments, is it triggers the dopamine receptors in your brain, which light up like a Christmas tree. And so you feel good. But then if you're not getting the likes or you're not getting the comments, then your brain doesn't get that trigger and you feel like crap. I think the other thing also is being aware of what you're on social media for, like having a purpose, right? Like we each have our own businesses. And so part of, like for myself personally, being on social media has to do with being able to connect with clients and potential clients, and also putting out like positive and good content around health and wellness that I hope inspires people. That's one of my intentions. I think if I just was like working at Starbucks, I don't know that I would be on social. So, so being really crystal clear on like, what are you using it for? Are you using it for anything? Or is it just random? You're just on there hours a day for no good reason other than to make yourself feel like crap. Like that compare game is a dead end game.
Absolutely. Well, like you said, that happiness has to come from within, and recognizing that a lot of what's on content that is on there is kind of fabricated. Like there's a lot, like you said, the highlight reel. So many times I've had a conversation with someone about how miserable they are in certain aspects of their relationship. And then next thing they're posting about how in love they are and how wonderful things are. And it makes me chuckle, but it makes me sad that they're obviously hurting, and their way of combating that is just to create this fabricated life.
Like a facade.
Exactly. Maybe if we create this, it will be real. Rather than putting the phone down and facing their partner and saying, something's not right here. I mean, definitely there's a lack of communication in the world because we're communicating via these devices, avatars that we have created that aren't real. And the content that avatar is claiming to post is not real either. So it's a little tricky when you're building something on something so flimsy. It's bound to come crashing down.
Yeah, I mean, the other thing that I don't know how many people know this, but the people who in Silicon Valley who created these apps and created these devices are actually, number one, they're very disciplined around their own use of those devices, and they don't let their children near the like social media or technology. Some of them at least, because they know how highly addictive they are. And so that should give everybody some room to kind of reflect and give pause and go, okay, do I really want to spend the precious moments of my life, which we can never get back? We can never get the time in our life back. There's no rewind button. So if you're spending several hours a day on social media in just like mindless, pointless scrolling and then feeling bad about yourself versus putting the phone down, going out with a friend, having a conversation. Because the other thing that studies show is that human beings, we need social connection in real life. And so if you're lacking that in your own life, then it's no wonder that you don't feel good. So, you know, you're better off getting away from like technology and unplugging and going for a walk or doing something with a friend, or, you know, hanging out. Even for myself, like I have dogs and I love being at home with the dogs, with, you know, just silence in the house and we're just hanging out. That is my happy place. And I notice, like, if I spend too much time on social, I'm like, holy smokes, an hour went by. I accomplished nothing. I feel like crap. And I got a really long to-do list. I haven't tackled it. And so I think like having time limits for yourself. So for example, for myself, in the morning, it's like a 15-minute time limit. That's what I have to check email, to check up on social. If that 15 minutes runs out and I don't have time to post, oh, well, so sad. I'm not posting. And I just start my day. And then I check my feed at various points in the day, like midday, later in the day. Sometimes if I haven't posted, I might post something on Instagram later in the day. But those are the kinds of, boundaries I give myself. And there are days when I don't post at all. When I'm not, like on a Sunday, if I'm hanging out with my guy, I don't want to be on social. I want to be with him.
Yeah. The trouble also is that it's limitless. Like, it's endless. If you scroll, you can go down that rabbit hole and you're lost forever. And I noticed
Wednesday.
Exactly. What day is it? I know for me, I would sit on the couch, and when you own your own business, there is no 9 to 5. Like, you're constantly on the go. And so I would get home and I'm exhausted from a long day, and I can see that I've got messages on, say, Facebook or Instagram. And so then I check it, and then I'm like, oh, what's that post about? And then boom, I'm gone. And I'm looking through, and an hour's gone by, and I've just sat there, and my kids will come over and they're talking to me. And my focus is just like the next scroll, like, oh, what's this? And they're talking in the background, and then off they wander. And next thing I know, I looked up and they're 15 and 10. And I think, what just happened? So it's the timer thing, I think, is a great idea. And I like the idea of what's your purpose? So what's your intent of going on social media? Like, if you want to post something, that's great. Maybe to kind of just check a few people's feed. I don't even look at my own feed, to be honest with you. If I'm going to go on social media, then I usually have, say, I'll hashtag healing energy or something that I can just kind of look at rather than focus on all the other bullshit.
Yeah, there's a lot of stuff. There's a lot of distraction we have to be aware of and go, okay, well, is that being this distracted and this not connected in my own life, how is that helping me, or how is it hurting me? Because sometimes we'll use social media just like we use drugs or alcohol or food as an escape, where we don't want to deal with our emotions or something that might not be going well in our life. So we just hide from it. Well, hiding from it doesn't make it go away. Like, that's not how life works. And
well, it contributes to the disconnect, right?
Yeah. And it also, like, when we're in that state, it actually the more disconnected we are, the more out of touch we are, the more unhappy we are. Because literally our soul is crying for attention, and we're doing everything but dealing with what needs to be dealt with. And it just becomes this bottomless pit of unhappiness. But so, I mean, don't get me wrong, there's definitely great bonuses to technology. I've made friends on social media that I never met in real life, and then I met them in real life. And because we're so authentic in how we are with each other, when in our communication and in what we post and how we share, meeting them in real life was the same. Sometimes when people are putting on those facades and you see them in real life, you can tell. And I've also had that. So I'm very fortunate that I've made some very genuine connections. But having like boundaries and living your life and following your dreams is very important, because we only have this one life.
Exactly. And on that note, follow us on social media. Oh, that's fun. So yeah, my handle is at Key Health and Wellness Whitby. So it's KI Health and Wellness Whitby.
And mine is at Julie Brar on Instagram. We put out like good, helpful content.
Absolutely. And we're just two cool chicks, man.
Hanging out.
Yeah.
Healing. That's right. All right.
Thanks,
Catch
people.
you next time.
Bye.
Bye.
This show has been produced by podcastexpert.ca.